wide open, and she scored!
Welcome to UND Sports Extra. I'm your host, Dan Hammer. On tonight's show, the head coaches of the North Dakota men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, and the women's hockey team, all on the lineup. We'll chat with Brian Idalski, Travis Brewster, and Brian Jones in just a moment. All three of the teams have pretty much wrapped up the first half of the season. Then they'll get a bit of a holiday break before turning the calendar and getting into conference play for both the men's and women's basketball teams. Our leadoff man tonight is men's basketball coach Brian Jones. It was the showdown of North Dakota last Saturday night in Fargo, and NDSU defeated North Dakota 71-42. Brian, a week ago, you talked about in recent meetings between yourself and NDSU, you've played one half. You were looking to play two halves, and didn't quite work out that way against NDSU.
I think the only thing we played was warm-ups in that game. It was just one of those nights. Honestly, I was really disappointed in our energy and our effort. For a game of that magnitude, obviously an in-state rival, we had a couple good days of work, and just you still got to go out, like on test day, you still got to go out and perform and earn it, and we did not do that. So that's where our guys have to understand you still have to go out and play in any game, regardless if it's NDSU or even this week, Dickinson State. You got to go out and earn it and play with passion, and that's what our program's been based on. So we got to get back to the basics on that, understanding what this thing has been built around is preparation, passion, unselfishness. With a lot of new guys, we always got to constantly remind them of those things.
Was your staff a bit disappointed that maybe the resolve or the answer wasn't there from your young men after you got down early in the first half and then had a sizable deficit at the half?
Well, honestly, yeah. It was, I think, 16-10 early in the first half. We weren't playing very well at all, but we're only down 6, and then they went on a 29-7 run, and that's the resolve that we're used to having. Obviously, you're going to offensively, we weren't clicking. We haven't been clicking due to some injuries and just not getting a lot of reps in practice. But that doesn't take away from your effort. That doesn't take away from your toughness. So, in any sport, when you lack those things, it's going to be tough to compete with anybody on a given night.
Let's take a look at the highlights here, Brian.
Yeah,
from
just
Shields.
one, I hope.
From Shields Arena. What do you think about the venue? Your first time in that
venue?
venue?
It was a beautiful venue. I mean, obviously, I think it was a perfect size, so it was great.
Yep. What were the things that you were hoping to accomplish early in this game, going in anyway?
Well, going in, we wanted to get out of the gates a lot stronger than we did maybe at Drake. But we just talked about defensively. You had to be rock solid, not give them easy ones. And this is what you're seeing. You're getting a lot of easy baskets. And when they do that in their home building, it really gives them a lot of confidence. You're seeing they're unguarded right there. Yeah. That's not who we've been. And that's what was disappointing about even the whole night.
You kind of had to hit the reset button, didn't you, after it got to be 11-0 to begin the game?
We did, and I had to call a quick timeout and just get their focus back. Obviously, we've been in that situation a couple times before, but it's about baby steps, chipping away. You're not going to make up an 11-point deficit right away.
Offensively, what did you think of your execution? Bryce Cashman in the starting lineup on this night, got some quality minutes?
I thought execution, the thing I didn't like was our pace. I'm big on pace and space. Our pace, we looked like we were running around in mud, in all honesty. But then once we did execute, again, deflected passes, our pass catches weren't always good, but we were missing layups at the rim when we did execute, or they got blocked. So I talked about after the game, the scouting report, we didn't follow that, get in there and shot fake because they come to block shots. We did not do it for 40 minutes. So we have to do a better job of understanding what we need to do to be more effective on offense.
That was a big part of your scouting game for you offensively going in, was the fake shot and then be able to create off that, correct?
No question. Drive the paint and make the extra one, or shot fake, because bodies were coming. They do a great job of pursuing the ball, and we just did not do that.
And in the second half, the deficit continued to grow. It seemed like a real struggle to get any momentum in the second half.
Yeah, it just even in the second half, I think at one time at maybe the 12-minute mark or 10-minute mark, it was literally in the second half scoring only 9-8. So both teams, but again, all of a sudden they got that big separation, a big pop. Like they did in the first half, and a lot of it had to do with just, to me, it was our energy and our effort. It had nothing to do with the game plan or anything like that. Our guys just, and it wasn't not just one guy, it was all of them. So it was just, to me, it was a complete team effort of lack of focus, a lack of energy, which was disappointing. But, sometimes you need to go through those things to truly get to where you want to go with a young team. That's what we got to, as coaches, we have to do a bit better job of making them understand what we expect, but also understanding the process and do a better job of accepting the journey and understand there's going to be good days and bad days, but it doesn't ever take away from the process.
Brian, you talked about pacing in the offensive end. Let's take a look at series here. And your high screen and roll game is a big part of your offense, but in this game, you were challenged in that area, and that, I think, led to part of the pacing problems that you talked about? Yeah,
it was. Excuse me, you can see here, a lot of it, we drilled on that. If they're guarding that way, we want to be able to get some post touches inside. We roll and get two guys on the ball. See, they're over-handling the ball. They got to get off the ball quicker.
Right.
And that's what we talked about. You get two on the ball, you've done your job. Now you got to get off it and get it to the second side of the floor because it's a disadvantage. It's 4-on-3 somewhere else.
Yeah, it seemed to be the decision-making at the point
That's
where the
right.
double defender came
That's
to
right.
your ball handler, then getting the ball inside.
And we talked about that at timeouts and halftime, but again, it's just they got to see it on film to truly understand it.
All right, so you've got 2 more games here before the end of the first half of the season. Dickinson State, Marquette. What do you hope to accomplish here in these 2 games and then head to the conference?
Honestly,
portion?
we're just talking about our effort and
Yeah.
preparation and coming every day to compete, and that's what we're going to be about, keeping it simple.
Very good. Brian, happy holidays to you and your family.
You too.
And we're back with you after you begin Big Sky Conference
On the road
play
again.
On the road at Montana State
right.
and Montana in the first 5 days of January. We're back with more after this.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota.
Welcome back. The UND women's basketball team faced opponents from the Big Ten and the ACC this past week. Head coach Travis Brewster returns. Coach, good to be back with you again. Your team falls to Minnesota 68-55, then falls to Clemson 72-67. I know the Clemson game is especially one that you thought you really could have had, right?
Yeah, I thought we put ourselves in a good position during that game. You know, we get ourselves up 13. We're moving the ball pretty well. We're actually defending pretty well, and you know, we kind of had some breakdowns on the defensive end where they started driving our zone and kicking and knocking down threes, and school high 31 threes that they attempted.
Yeah. When you schedule games with teams from power conferences, obviously you're hoping to win, but beyond that, what are you hoping they accomplish in your team's development in the first half of a season?
Well, to play against a different style of basketball, for one. Hopefully play against somebody that maybe is a little bit bigger, faster, you know, and help us develop so we can have an opportunity in the Big Sky Conference.
All right, before we take a look at the Minnesota highlights, let's talk about the Minnesota game a little bit. First time ever that you've hosted a Big Ten school, great atmosphere at the Betty last week, and again, a game that was there for your taking for a good portion of the game.
Well, absolutely. You know, it was great to have all the fans out. You know, it was just too bad we had a couple injuries in that game on both teams that were, you know, it's tough. You know, you don't want to see any young person go down like that, and we wish them well. But at the same time, there was still a basketball game to be played. And, you know, we gave ourselves a chance for a while, and I just thought in that particular game we needed to make some key shots and some key free throws.
Yeah. Emily Evers went down from your squad. Rachel Bannum went down from Minnesota. Let's take a look at the highlights here. What did you like about this matchup as you went into the game? Where did you think you could have some success?
Well, you know, they like to play a lot of zone. I thought we could attack that on the backside there on the low line of their zone, and we had to contain them in transition. You know, you see Rachel knocking down that shot right there. You know, that's why she was a premier point guard in the country. You know, the big thing I thought was we just had to contain her. That was the biggest issue that we worried about to start the game. And you know, she just attacked. Here again, we're attacking their zone with some different looks that we have, and I thought we did a pretty good job there in the first half, moving the ball around and get some easy ones.
I thought you established some signs of moving the ball around well in the first half.
Well, you got to get the ball inside against the zone, then you got to kick it back outside. You know, the other part is you got to be able to handle pressure and knock down wide open shots and catch them in rhythm. We've talked about that with our team all year long. Here you see we moved the ball a couple times to Siri Burke, knocking down 2 key threes on the baseline we talked about all week. Hey, this is going to be open. Here Leah Zalba gets a nice drive to the rim. Emily does a good job of sealing her, giving her an opportunity to attack the rim.
Yeah, so you got some things going here in the first half, and then the injuries, as you said. First, Rachel Bannum on the drive here, and she's done for the year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for that young lady. You know, it was a no-contact injury again, and then Emily goes down basically 2 minutes later with again a no-contact injury.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. It's part of the game, and you know you don't want to see it, but you have to keep moving forward, and we had to regroup.
And how do you think you regrouped following that?
I thought we handled it pretty well. I know it still shook some of our players that, you know, 2 people go down with an injury that close, but you know it was good. It was a good learning experience for us. You know, you see Michaela getting her hand on a pass there, sitting in the zone and attacking them.
All right, they really took it to you in the paint in the second half as the game went on.
Yeah, we talked about that. You know, we have to do a better job of closing out. Short closeouts are tough because you know why? It's only 2 more feet to get to the hole, so you have to contain that person. You know, I thought we just kind of got a little tentative on the defensive end.
Well, you had to go with a new rotation, you know, on both ends of the floor with Emily Evers out. That was new to your basketball team. 68-55, the final there. Let's chat a little bit more about this game in postscript. The rotation that you went with the rest of the way. How do you think it performed, and then how do you think it carried over into Clemson's game on Saturday?
Well, I thought it was a little bit smaller lineup for us, but I thought it worked out well. We still got players from rest, and we still could attack. The difference is, you know, we didn't have time to prepare some of the people to play out of position, and I thought we handled it pretty well. Then when we went to Clemson, we had more time to prepare for it. But at the same time, you know, it's college basketball, and you have to be able to step up when the right time, when your time comes.
All right, let's take a look at the Clemson highlights. You led for 29 minutes of this basketball game. Clemson's Shelby Davenport hits the three-pointer. She had 11, and Tiffany Lewis made 4 of 9 three-point field goals. She finished with 12, and yet you led this basketball game 38-33 at the half. In the second half, you're going to build the lead to as many as 13, so you figure you're in pretty good shape here. Halfway through the second half, up by 13, but then they start pouring in the threes again. Lewis with another 3. As you said, Clemson shot a school record 31 three-point field goal attempts. Denisha Provo made 3 of her 4 three-pointers, and then Nikki Dixon was tough for Clemson. She had 15 points, 9 rebounds, including attacking the basket here, and Clemson goes on to win 72-67 as you wrap up your week there. Emily Evers, do you know a little bit more in terms of what kind of timetable you're dealing with here?
You know, for Emily's injury, it's kind of day to day. You know, me personally, I look at it as hopefully we get her back time conference season starts. That's kind of how I look at it. You know, if she comes back before that, great. If she doesn't, you know, let's get well and be ready to go, because that's what we're playing for. And you know, I like her team. You know, I think we have some resolve even without Emily in the lineup. She just makes us that much better, you know, and you want to have your best lineup every time you step on the floor and your best team. But you know what? We have to be able to play without her too, you know, and I think we're starting to adapt to that a little bit.
Okay, Coach, good to be with you again. We take a couple weeks break here for the holidays, so happy holidays to you and your family, and we'll catch up with you after the first of the year. You've got games this week against Mayville State and South Dakota, and then begin the Big Sky Conference race in defense of your championship the first weekend in January.
Oh, absolutely.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays. Yep.
Happy New Year.
Holidays, everybody.
We're back with more next.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota.
Welcome back. With a mom and aunt who played at Wisconsin, it seemed fitting that Makailah Dyer would be a Badger too. Instead, she's carving out her own path. Here's Greg Ankers.
Dyer to the basket and in. Nice job by Dyer.
Makailah Dyer is emerging as a force to be reckoned with for the North Dakota women's basketball team.
She's a very heady basketball player, very knowledgeable, and a good person to be around. And you know, that's a big thing for us in our program here is are you good people?
She's good at like the shake and bake and do her own thing. She can drive, finish at the rim, or drive and kick to open teammates.
The 5'9" sophomore guard leads her team in three-point field goals and is third on the team in scoring. Dyer's offensive prowess was something her coach noticed back in her high school days.
She was a very dynamic scorer. You know, she's one of the top players I see in the class. You know, she could play. There was no getting around it.
A native of Madison, Wisconsin, Dyer committed to be a Badger for the University of Wisconsin when she was only a sophomore in high school. But a lot changed in her final 3 prep seasons, and that led to a change of heart.
There was a coaching change, so then after that I just kind of decided that I wanted to go a different route. I ended up getting a call from Coach Brewster when I decided to leave Wisconsin, and he was kind of like, hey, we need to get you up here for a visit. We didn't have much contact during high school, but he said that he had been watching me, and I got up here for a visit, and I pretty much just fell in love with it right away.
A familiar face to UND basketball fans also helped lead Dyer to Grand Forks. Her cousin, Troy Huff, was a decorated standout for the men's team up until his senior year last season.
And he loved it right away when he got here, and I was kind of talking to him throughout the whole process, and he was like, I mean, you fit in great here with the team, like they're a great group of girls, great coach, so I mean, it was really big, and just all of his success, it really led me here.
Dyer's desire to come to UND forced her to sit out a full calendar year. Sitting on the sidelines was a major challenge for someone who was not used to seeing much of the bench during her basketball career.
I really had to focus a lot on practice, and I think that's where I improved a lot, just because I couldn't play in games, so practices were kind of like my game. So I really put a focus on just being ready for when my time was going to come, and I think that actually helped me out a lot.
Especially the first semester of the next year when she still had to sit out, it was just like she's almost there, and you could tell she wanted to play so bad. And she's so competitive that you could just tell that she's been waiting for when she could start playing again.
Since her return to the court, the offensive showcase has been on full display, but it's Dyer's devotion to other parts of her game that are also getting noticed.
I'd be remiss not to talk about her defense. It's improved 100% since she's been here. She's started to become a very good defender on the floor, whether she's on ball or off ball.
It's something I never really focused on throughout my career, just because I've always been pretty offensive minded, but Coach Brew, he's really been pushing me just to be more of an all-around player. And he said that defense, if I was able to play good defense, and I could be more well-rounded, and so that's something I really wanted to focus on. And I think I've improved a little bit.
It's that balance from Dyer that will hopefully continue to keep the opposition on their heels as the season wears on.
Dyer has improved defensively, also improved at the free throw line, where she is shooting 78% on the season. We're back with some final thoughts next.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota.
The North Dakota women's hockey team closed out the first half of the season sweeping RIT this past weekend, a road sweep for North Dakota, which kicked off the series with a 3-1 win in the series opener. Josephine Jakobsen, Amy Mankey, and Andrea Dolan scoring for North Dakota. Shelby Amsley-Benzie got the win. Then North Dakota put the pedal to the floor in the series finale, winning 6-1. Again, a lot of different players getting into the scoring act for North Dakota in a sweep, which leaves North Dakota 9-9-2 overall at the end of the first half of the season. Head coach Brian Idalski is back with us. Coach, good to be back with you again. Summarize the first half of the season, because your team has gone through a lot. You entered the season implementing some new systems. Then you went on a stretch where it was difficult to win a game, and now as you close the first half of the season, you have 5 wins in your last 8 games. So summarize this first half.
Well, I think it's been inconsistent at best. You know, there are a lot of big shoes to fill offensively, and it was a little bit of adjustment for some of our players being those go-to kids that have to produce game in, game out. But, you know, I think we've come through it. I feel pretty good about where we're at and what the second half holds for us.
One of the players who has taken a big step forward here lately, especially in her sophomore season, Amy Mankey. She currently is on a real tear. What kind of development are you seeing from her in this sophomore season?
Well, she's a kid who's really put a lot of work in lately, watching film, studying the game, learning what it means to be a high-end player, and you're seeing the rewards on the ice. She's really turned the corner just with her poise, her hockey sense, and continuing to create offense, to shift in, shift out, game in, game out. So we're super excited about where she's at and what the future holds for her.
Yeah, just a sophomore, she's almost totaled her season scoring output from a year ago, so she's got to play with a lot of confidence these days as well.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that feeds off of Kohler and Dufo, who, you know, the same are high-end players who are, you know, learning what it means to be the focal point of the offense game in, game out, and so they've got pretty good chemistry right now. We hope that rolls into the second half for us.
In the first half of the season, those occasions when you played the Wisconsins, the Minnesotas, even the Bemidji State series, you were challenged offensively. Do you feel you're better equipped offensively when you play those extremely tight games in the second half of the season?
I think so. I think we're a little more battle tested. I think that our kids understand what it means compete-wise and showing up, and you know, we're very honest about the fact there were some voids there offensively that we've lost in the last couple of years, and these kids now have to transition from being complementary players to the focal point of what we do offensively. And there were some hiccups, but I think maturity, growth-wise, I like where we're at. I think we're a good club, and I think we got a chance to do some pretty special things in the second half.
Those players who need to be focal points, is that part of what you're seeing with Amy Mankey, Josephine Jakobsen as well, who has now become more of a scorer here lately compared to that strong defensive forward that we've seen out of her?
Yeah, well, she struggled out of the chute a little bit as well, and I think she won 13 games without a point, which is hugely uncharacteristic. She's scoring, she feels pretty good about herself. Dallin has stepped forward. The emergence of Menke, Kohler, Dufo up front consistently has been huge. Shannon Kaiser last few weeks probably played the best hockey of her career so far with us. We need that going forward in the second half. I've always liked our D-core. I think our goaltending is solid, gives us a chance every game. So the pieces are there. It's just a matter of, maturity-wise, us learning to compete every shift, every game.
You feel good about this team as you head to the second half after a little break here?
I do. I think our leadership's really grown. Andrea Dallin has done a terrific job as a captain. Jakobsen's grown into that a little bit, and Tori Williams is just a huge character kid who, from moving from defense up to forward with the switch in systems, has given us a lot of energy and just a great kid. I think kids really feed off of what she brings to the rink every day.
All right, Brian, a 9-9-2 first half of the season. You'll take a break, open the second half with a non-conference series against Syracuse, and then 6 weekends of the regular season within the WCHA following that. Happy holidays to you and your family, and we'll see you after the holidays.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it.
We're back with more on UND Sports Extra next.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota.
The next original airing of UND Sports Extra comes your way on Tuesday, January 6th. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays. Stay tuned for North Dakota Hockey with Dave Haxton.